Welcome to Days at Dogwood Canyon, a nature podcast brought to you by Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center in Cedar Hill, Texas. This is a podcast that will take you into our 200-acre wildlife preserve in the heart of the DFW Metroplex. Take a quick weekly break with us and get outside with the fresh air, the trees, and of course, the birds. My name is Kiersten and I'm Center Coordinator Community Programs here at Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center. Welcome, listeners, to our Days at Dogwood Canyon podcast. This is a podcast about nature, birds, plants, and us. We will talk about how we all rely on each other to live our best lives. So instead of talking about one native plant in this episode of Native Plants of Dogwood Canyon, we're going to talk about a movement that has been increasing in popularity in the last few years, and that is Leave the Leaves. This movement is described perfectly in the title. In the fall, when the leaves from your trees fall on your yard, leave them there. It's that easy. Leave the leaves. Now, this fits perfectly with my kind of gardening. Any of you that have listened to previous episodes know that I am a proud, lazy gardener. I plant native flowers, shrubs, and trees because they need less support from me as they are already adapted to the area. Leave the leaves means I have way less work in the fall. This doesn't mean that my yard looks untidy. I do plant with aesthetics in mind. I just choose plants that can take care of themselves. There are other reasons to leave the leaves, and the most important reason is that it helps our invertebrate population. You may have never thought about where the insects go in winter. I know I never thought about it until I participated in an internship at a native butterfly house. I kind of thought that insects just disappeared in the winter and then reappeared in warmer weather without giving any more thought to that. In truth, insects have to overwinter somewhere to have insects in the spring, so they must survive the winter in some form. For butterflies and moths, that means they can survive the cold winter months as a caterpillar, or in their cocoon or chrysalis, or as an adult. Other insects will lay eggs that survive the cold temperature and emerge in spring and summer. So where do the leaves come in? The layer of leaves that fall to the ground is where most of these insects find the perfect habitat to survive the winter. Caterpillars will burrow down to the lowest level of debris and hunker down, while those overwintering in a cocoon will use the leaves and silk to encase themselves in a protective shroud. Still, other adults, such as the mourning cloak butterfly, will spend the winter as adults tucking themselves into the leaves for warmth and protection from predators. Leave the leaves is not just a lazy gardener movement. It is supported by scientific research. Max Verlauta and Karen Berghardt published a research paper in March of 2025 studying the impacts of leaving the leaves or removing the leaves. Their study was based in Maryland, and they focused on 20 pesticide-free residential yards. They created 2 square meter quadrants in each yard and randomly assigned retaining or removing the leaves. Some spaces were left alone, leaving all the leaves where they fell. Other spaces were partially removed, others were mulched leaves, and others were complete removal. The study lasted 2 years. Now, this is a simplified explanation of the study. I will include a link to their study in the show notes if you'd like to read it for yourself. So after the fall and winter season, they placed emergence traps in the research yards to see how many insects emerged and what types of insects emerged. They had some interesting results. So the baseline of insects they found was surprising, first of all. So the amount of insects they gathered with emergence traps before manipulating the quadrants was about 1,700 individuals per square meter. That's per square meter of your yard. They didn't expect to find so many insects overwintering in residential settings. And these were houses in more urban areas of Maryland, not houses surrounded by swaths of undisturbed habitat. So this showed them that residential yards are important and valuable spaces for overwintering insects. So what happened when they removed the leaves? Removal of leaves throughout the winter reduced the number of spiders by 67%. And now I know some of you are breathing a sigh of relief, thinking, yay, no more spiders. But remember, spiders are important predators for the other insects that you don't want in your house or in your garden. So fewer spiders mean more of those insects. Leaf removal also impacted our moths and butterflies, reducing their numbers by 45% and altering the diversity of these insects by 40%. That's a huge number. I remember when I was young that there were butterflies and moths everywhere in spring and summer. But now you have to search high and low for these insects, and you aren't seeing the variety that you used to see. This leaf removal situation is a contributing factor in their decline. Beetles were reduced by 25%, and overall leaf removal decreased the abundance of emerging arthropods by 17%, with the above-mentioned insects getting hit the hardest. So quoting from their paper, here we show that retaining leaves in residential areas may be a key management tool to conserve insect biodiversity and mitigate documented declines in arboreal arthropods in urban areas. That means butterflies and moths. Now, having said this, I know that yard upkeep can be a controversial topic. We have had generations of behavior passed down to us about keeping a tidy yard. It's important that you keep your yard looking nice because it's a reflection of how responsible you are. A tidy yard is wrapped up in how you fit into society and how other people judge you. Or maybe you use your yard to play with children or animals. It's not an all or nothing situation with this movement. You don't have to let your entire yard sit with leaves to help your insect populations. You can set aside places to let leaves lie all winter for the insects to use. Now, another takeaway from this study is about leaf mulching and composting. If you mulch leaves, you are killing anything that might be overwintering in there. And that includes the beautiful Luna moths overwintering in cocoons, the woolly bear caterpillars that become tiger moth pollinators, and the spider egg sacs with next year's insect population controllers. Raking leaves and placing them in a different area is better than mulching them. If you compost your leaves, you are placing the overwintering insects in a superheated environment that they cannot survive. If you have a properly functioning compost pile, it is breaking down vegetative material, and that creates heat. Too much heat for invertebrates to survive. So once again, raking and moving the leaves is better than mulching or composting. The best way to help our very important insects is to leave the leaves. For more guidance on yard management or to find a bit more about this research, you can also listen to Bug Banter from the Xerces Society. This is a podcast from the Xerces Society, which is a nonprofit organization for invertebrate conservation. They are the Audubon of bugs. It's a great podcast about all things insects. They have many episodes about how insects interact with plants, birds, people, and the planet. If you have questions about Leave the Leaves, feel free to reach out to us via email, phone, or in person when you visit Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center. I hope to see all of you out soon in our fall areas to enjoy our fallen leaves and the beauty of our preserve this season.